Good afternoon. We will be looking into how we can create a place for community interaction and repair at Sunnyside Galleries. We'll be looking at the definitions of value proposition, placemaking, and craft. Capitalizing on the respected architect Norman Foster's insight and wisdom, we have developed a value proposition that will enhance and unify the different cultures found in Sunnyside while keeping in mind the past, planning for the present and the future. Sunnyside Galleries is an expressive, modernist building with an iconic form devised by Paul Vostas in 1961. The building has a strong aesthetic and social value for the community.
Galleries are located on the corner of Troy and Robert Sibukwe Street. It is between the nodes of the Sunny Park Mall and the Hope Baptist Church. As to the site analysis, we had found numerous examples of what we see on the site, but the ones that were prominent and most important is that there's a fence around the site, there's damaged roads and paving around the site, as well as there's only one bin that is close to the site. With a better understanding of the Sunnyside Galleries context, we can start to examine the site with a more human-centered perspective. Based on observational data, we have concluded that the city structures are not frequently used by the vendors. Some possible reasons for this includes the structures as they are now are deteriorating and becoming less effective. The shading structures is not providing sufficient shading for perishable products. The display height is high, making it more difficult for consumers to view the products, and the vendors are not using the city structures have limited display space.
In terms of the formal typologies, this is what we found when we looked into Troy Street. We found convenience stores, fast food areas, taverns, places of worship, as well as hair salons. Looking at the Robert Sibukwe elevation, we notice that there is hair salons as well as hair supply stores. Expanding more on the elevation, we see that there is hair salons, doctors, fashion areas, African food stores, as well as empty toilet spaces. An interior elevation shows more African food stores, the Mad Max fashion store, our internet cafe, as well as a toilet area. When we looked at Sunnyside, we noticed that there was a theme of display. We find vendors displaying products, trading stores displaying their artistry of their skills, stores making use of large glass storefronts to showcase their fashion, as well as signage as a display of their culture.
From observing the typologies, we noticed the waste patterns that affect our site, which brings us to the waste observations. We then looked at the microsystems of the waste management and mismanagement involved directly with the Sunnyside precinct near the Sunnyside Galleries. Waste is collected on Tuesdays in the area by Tswana waste collection trucks. However, for the Sunnyside Galleries, waste is managed privately. The gray bar highlights the normal position of Tswana bins, and no bins were out on Tuesdays adjacent to our site as indicated with orange. The assumptions we have made is that waste is collected by the company called Abatch, which they have a relationship with city properties, and the building is managed by city properties. Mismanagement. We noticed that individuals who collect waste pick up the whole plastic bag, and go to the Sprite for collecting. Byproducts such as LDPE plastics get discarded on the Sprite because it has no value to them. We have identified 3 types of plastics byproducts on site which are commonly used, namely PET, HDPE, and LDPE. Good examples for each category would be water bottles, hair product containers, and refuse bags, respectively. We have observed that LDPE plastics is accumulating at the Sprites as shown in the photos. In our intervention, LDPE plastics can play a huge role in craft and repairing by weaving to create new products.
After looking at what is currently situated, we wanted to look at the 4 qualities that makes a place great and apply to Sunnyside Galleries. The perspective provides a clearer understanding of the users of foot traffic and functions of the building. Further analyzing the four principles of what makes a place great and what we saw on site that relates to the four pillars. With regards to linkages and accesses, we notice that the fence is a strong defining spatial element. There is slower paced walking, as this is a diversion from the main walkway. There's an opportunity to use the fence as an informant to create a sense of place, and as a threat, the narrow walkways can lead to congested paths. There is also a strong sense of identity with the signage displayed. There is a need for seating as locals use broken chairs and bricks for seating. There is definitely an opportunity to spill out the activity of the buildings onto the courtyard. When it comes to comfort and image, we notice that the fence provides a sense of safety as people openly use their phones in the area. We notice that people stand and engage with the graphics on the building. We also notice that as a threat that homeless people can gather there and make other people feel less safe. However, we can use this opportunity to foster a sense of safety for future users. And lastly, when analyzing the sociability, we notice that people socialize along the fence, that as a weakness, the produce rots faster in the heat without any shade, and there's an opportunity that the fence becomes an opportunity for vendors to create a sense of place. This is just another perspective for a better understanding of the building. We will now show how this new perspective has pillars of making as well as SWOT analysis. Outside the fence, we have noticed that there's a strong quality with access and linkage, as the narrow walkways drive movement forward, making the space connected and providing continuity along the site. The area outside the fence also provides opportunities to socialize with the vendors, making for friendly interactions with diverse food to cater to a diverse community. A sense of activity with an economic aspect is coming from the vendors, which vitalize the space and make it a vital function to the community. Inside the fence, we have a strong quality of comfort and image as the building is historic and clean. The area is walkable and safe, and the aspect of spirituality is there because of the church. In terms of users and activity, the African food stores speak to the indigenous quality of the area. The style of the building makes the space feel special. The site acts as a space where spillover from the main pathway is allowed if they want to slow down. The slowing down means there's a space where people have a chance to socialize with diverse neighbors and community.
After the analysis, this led us to the question, how can we create spaces that enhance the value of the community, encourage interactions, and repair while keeping a circular economy in mind?
We want to look at this by number one, keeping in mind the strong skills present, looking at the existing braiding skills and relating that to crafting skills. Both of these aspects share amazing artistry, craftsmanship, socializing, and skill transfer. Enhancing the already existing programs by allowing functions to spill out onto the courtyard, such as braiding as well as formal and informal food activities. And thirdly, keeping a circular economy in mind, looking into how we can engage in a need-based circular economy, repairing waste to bring value to the waste by allowing for the waste to be transformed into art and items that meet the community's needs, as well as looking into the social sustainability as spaces could allow for community building and strengthening relationships.
Once we have identified these facts, we then looked into precedents that support our reasons to make and enhance good spaces. And the first precedent that we look at is the Warwick Junction. The Warwick Junction lies at the heart of Durban and is the primary public transport interchange in the city. It is organized in 3 dedicated markets that are categorized according to the produce provided by the vendors. We highlighted 5 of the 9 markets that represent the character of the space more vividly. These include the Herb Garden, which provides herbs and muti, the early morning market where the fresh vendors reside, the bovine head market, which is where the traditional food cooks are situated, the Berea Station Market, which ranges from traditional attire to accessories, and the Brook Street Market, which is more so related to universal clothing vendors. Warwick was not the space conducive to the function of a market. Durban's public transit node and the market was a congested, crime-ridden, and neglected no-go zone following years of disinvestment and marginalization of informal workers. This encouraged the NGO and Asiye Itefuleni to intervene with their proposals to develop improvements to the site. This is seen through the improvements including creating multiple job opportunities, having safer food preparations facilities, accommodating to the travelers, improving the vendors' furniture and storage, having dedicated areas that are different to the kinds of trades provided, and having a safer and easy access to a pedestrian bridge. The one solution that Warwick vendors and the NGO applied was improving the vendors' furniture. The NGO wanted to make furniture that the local vendors were already adapted to. They saw that they were most comfortable with the transel tables. The vendors created these on site with the wooden warehouse pallets used while using the local carpenters to build the final product. However, they did not consider the threats that are seen on the site, such as the weather and the formed criminal nodes where criminals can hide within the vendor spaces. The NGO then imposed and collaborated with the vendors to create an overhead structure that can be attached to the trestle tables, and the vendors adapted to it for their personal use by using crates and boxes to support the structure. This is one of the takeaways that we saw, which could apply to our intervention. This is our second president, Montebello Design Center. Montebello Design Center is located in Newlands, Cape Town, and on the map it has a historic greenhouse, nursery, a stunning restaurant, and 25 art studios and workshops that are split into 4 categories, which are art, craft, ceramic, and jewelry stores. The studios that we looked at highlight these 4 categories. Looking at the studios program, we have highlighted what can be important to our proposed studio, such as training upcoming artists and showcasing their work, providing workshops to uplift the community, create traditional crafts and create job opportunities, and use foundations to support the locals. From looking at the overall analysis of the sites and looking deeper into the precedents, we were able to create a value proposition with regards to the product service system, where products are the byproducts, service is the activity, and systems are the development and effective placemaking.
When we look at the product, we have hair braiding and synthetic hair extensions, plastic waste from apartments and food. Looking at the service, we can have activities such as the showcase activity, vendor markets, and making. And when we look into the system, we have communal development, skill building and sharing, as well as involving stakeholders. In order to achieve an effective value proposition, we needed extra support from stakeholders, and in this case, we considered the DTIC. They are close by, and we share the same vision and mission when it comes to meaningful economic transformation, inclusive growth, and development. Formal vendors contribute such a big part of the economy, and this new space at Sunnyside Galleries will provide our community with an opportunity to unlock their potential and spread their new skills and crafts by using byproducts. The DTIC is a powerful and sustainable stakeholder for the spatial development.
We are going to look at our intervention, guided by opportunities and the architectural analysis we have discussed. Our approach is human-focused and was informed by activity observed on the sites. We have observed that current interventions such as the fence affects how people move in and around the building. On the southern side, Robert Sebukwe Street, The walkway outside the fence is constricted and forces people to find alternative routes. We have taken time on site to see patterns formulated by pathways people take and have found that if a group of people are approaching from the opposite side, people tend to cut into Sunnyside Gallery's court as illustrated by the arrow.
The fence also creates a sense of security, as we have noticed that people are more keen to be on their phones when they are inside. The vendors also use the fence for displaying products for hanging their personal items.
We have roughly drawn the existing layout by using existing drawings and by extrapolation because some of the additions made on site are not on the provided drawings. This is a mixed-use building with diverse range of businesses, from salons to doctors' offices and an African food restaurant.
And here we're looking at the existing footprint of the building. This is the new proposed footprint. The idea is to still enhance existing programs. We started looking at the fence and how it can improve circulation. We also wanted to make the market space better. We created a new fence following the path that people take on site as an alternative route to avoid people coming from the opposite direction. This then allows the market space to be bigger so that more people can have space instead of sitting in the sun or on the ground.
Leads us to the new layout that prompts us to rearrange the stores so that the space is used effectively. We have moved restaurants to face Robert Sibukwe for drawing people in and for maximizing business. This helps with opening up the space for craft and braiding. Please see Legend for more information.
The form of the courtyard follows function. It is a space upgrading access and linkages. We have made use of different types of paving and materials in order to subdivide the space, allowing for areas of passing by, but also areas where people can work, craft, socialize, and share knowledge. Planter seating is spaced on edges to guide and slow movement in the courtyard, and to add vegetation to Robert Sibukwe. There is also upgraded pavement with vandal-proof lighting in the seating to make the space safe at night.
We have also updated the city structures for better functionality and to accommodate different preferences and the type of product the vendor is selling. The new structure has a place for hooking clothes for thrift vendors, and the tables are low and extend forward for the fresh produce vendors because they prefer a low setting. Zooming into the proposed new city structures, our intervention aims to achieve the following: to provide extra shading over the display area, the roofing overhang is increased. Both overhead storage and under display storage is offered. A rail is attached to the overhead structure for hanging products. To maximize the display space, a pull-out structure is offered. A mesh is connected to the pull-out framework to provide additional hanging space for the small items and to improve security for stored goods.
The video illustrates the spatial effectiveness of the overhead shading structure in relation to the interventions. It will be made out of fabric offcuts from the Sunnyside presets. The height of the structure is raised where the weaving and crafting activities are taking place, providing a spacious environment for the gathering of many. The height of the structure is lowered over the walkways to encourage a flow of movement, and parts covering is removed to help highlight the designated walkways.
The relationship between the fence and the vendors have improved with the new design of the fence as it increases the width of the walkways.
Food stalls are a space of rest where they can quietly observe in the activities taking place on site.
Paths around and through hair braiding and crafting spaces allow for the people to visually engage with the skills that are on display. Another perspective focusing on the crafting section and focusing on the hair braiding section.
Looking back at what makes the place great, we notice our intervention improves the space outside the fence and inside the fence.
To conclude, with our proposition, we were able to create a space that has value, place, craft, community interactions, and repair.